Hi there, it's Corey Burke, your Yakima, Washington Realtor, and I'm here today with a May market update. A little bit late to the update party. Sorry, I've been out of commission for a little while here. I had some personal things going on in my personal life. My dad fell ill for a hot minute there. He's doing great now, but it was a little worrisome for a minute there. I also was just really busy with work. I had so many transactions in escrow and I had so many clients that I was helping that things just got really crazy. But don't worry, I put together a plan to try to make sure I can bring you these updates and these videos on a more consistent basis, whether or not my life is going up in flames at the moment, hoping to be able to improve the consistency of these in the future. But before we jump into the May market update, we're going to talk about national and we're going to talk about local Yakima real estate updates. But before that, I want to make sure that you know that you can always contact me at corieburck@gmail.com if you are looking to buy, sell, or maybe even get into real estate as a career choice, no matter where you're at in the world. I'm happy to help. Again, you can email me at corieburck@gmail.com. For the national market, as we moved through May of 2025, we really are still struggling with ongoing affordability challenges. That's just the nature of things. Mortgage rates didn't really go up or down too dramatically. And a big reason for that is the Fed is really holding steady because of the volatility of consumer sentiment and political things going on. So the Fed is remaining steady, making sure that they are responding to real prolonged market data and not just, flash in the pan data. So everything's holding pretty steady on the mortgage rate front, but affordability is still a challenge for a lot of consumers. Despite that, though, home prices have continued to raise moderately year over year. So we are still seeing that. And the reason that, homes are still selling, but they are taking a little bit longer, the days on market is trending up. You're going to see that in the local stats as well. We're normalizing really after what a lot of us in real estate call the unicorn years, the 2021, 2022, 2020 even years where there was this influx of affordability into the market. People who normally wouldn't have been able to buy were able to buy because interest rates were so artificially low and there was so much cash pumped into the economy at the time that we really borrowed a lot of buyers from the future. So people that would have been buying now were borrowed in those 2021 and 2022 years. So what we're seeing is actually home sales have really plummeted. They're expected to stay largely the same this year as they were last year, which was our lowest year in over 25 years. So it was quite low and we're expecting it to stay relatively the same. So it's important that you know that even as a seller, you're still going to benefit from equity growth. So be aware of that. So even though, rates are higher, there are less buyers entering the market. It's just important to know you still have really great equity. You're still in a great position and there's still not a lot of inventory on the market. So you don't have a lot that you're competing with. So next I want to get into the Yakima housing market, get a little bit more granular and a little bit more specific, talking kind of the numbers of the Yakima market. It really remained healthy and active throughout the month of May. I know for myself, like I said, I was like crazy busy. I think I had 10 in escrow at one point. I think I closed 4 by the end of May, in the month of May. So things have kind of leveled out a little bit. I'm not as pants on fire at the moment, but yeah, it was a hot month. The weather really helped. Our weather is a big influence on our housing market here. We just got out of a really hot patch here at the beginning of June where we were nearly triple digits for almost a full week. And now we're getting back down into the 70s and 80s. So just know weather really plays a big factor here. Our average sales price is $406,048, which is a 14.3% increase over May of last year. So just know housing costs are still continuing to go up. We're still seeing that. And the median sales price is up to $380, which is almost a 9% year over year increase. Average days on market is 77. So that's 15% longer than this time last year. The reason it hasn't gone up as much as you might see in other markets, I know I am talking to a lot of buyers that are saying, oh, well, I've heard that, it's a buyer's market now. It's not. Fun fact, it's not. We're still under 4 months of inventory. We're in the high 3s of months of inventory, which still indicates a seller's market. It's just that homes that are not completely move-in ready are much less attractive to buyers now because things aren't as affordable. So they really are prioritizing move-in ready homes. So if your home isn't move-in ready and it's not appealing to a large group of buyers, it's still not going to move quickly. But I'm still seeing multiple offers. Homes that are really priced well, that are presented well, that are move-in ready, and they really look great for the price point, those homes are still getting multiple offers. So you still may deal with a multiple offer situation depending on what you're looking for. Our total sold listings for May of 2025 were up to 179, which is almost a 10% increase over last year. It's really showing a really steady buyer activity. I like to see that. New listings is up 21% compared to last year, which means buyers are getting more options, which honestly feels really, really great. I remember in the unicorn years working with buyers almost exclusively at that time. When I was working with buyers almost exclusively in those unicorn years, it was so frustrating because they felt like not only were they buying at the top of the market and they're always in multiple offer situations and they're always competing and having to offer top dollar for homes, not only were all those things happening, but often they were giving up more just to get on the property ladder, especially first-time home buyers. They had to give up a lot more to just get on the property ladder and start building that equity. And now we are seeing where people have more options. There's more inventory to choose from. They have more of an ability to be picky. And I'm not saying like be picky in a bad way. I'm saying prioritize the things that are important to them. They can actually go after those values even more aggressively. And I actually love to see that for my buyers because I can bring them back to their priorities frequently and assure them that they can get the things that match their budget and that their budget and their values do match up most of the time. Most of my people understand the market. After I show them everything that's on the market, they understand this is what I can afford and here's how I make my priorities match up with that. So most people have a pretty good and realistic idea of what they can afford and what they need to prioritize. Pending sales also increased to 19.1%, which means we're really expecting a strong summer going into this year. I'm a little wary of the early heat wave that we just had and what that means for drought here and for fire season here. It's something that we're always kind of mindful of when we go into our fire season. But I know with my irrigation, they've already told me that they've instituted a bunch of drought precautions because they see it's happening. We're not getting any moisture here. So doing what you can to keep your lawn green. If you are getting ready to list, if you're someone who's maybe owning a home in the area and you're not getting ready to list necessarily, but you're just trying to figure out like, how do I navigate this? Really consider having drought resistant landscaping or as much drought resistant landscaping as you can accommodate. Really, really helpful. Use less water to help maintain your lawn. Obviously, I know I still have some lawn because I love my dogs to be able to have a place to run. I love my nieces and nephews to have a place to run. So we do still have lawn, but we make sure to do as much drought resistant landscaping around that as we can. And we keep our garden in raised beds instead of like a big like field kind of situation, which actually allows us to cut down on our water waste. And it's important to remember that while housing prices across the country are really raising, Yakima is still really affordable compared to a lot of locations here in Washington and really in the Pacific Northwest in general. We're a very affordable place to live. We are largely the backbone of our economy here locally is agriculture, which is, known for being stable and sustainable. So as long as we aren't dealing with too many things that could change that, I expect that we will remain pretty steady and we remain a little bit insulated from some of those other market fluctuations. So if you are thinking about buying or selling, it could be a good time to move really on either side of it right now. It's a pretty balanced situation. Right now, sellers can really take advantage of the increased property values, the increased equity in their home, motivated buyers that are just trying to get on the property ladder. With prices really going up and days on market still staying relatively low, your home can be worth more than you think. So it's worth a phone call if you're thinking about making a move anytime soon, talking about what your home may be worth. But also on the buying side, more listings equals more choices. Also potentially offers you more negotiating power. Now, this is still not a buyer's market. You still can't go in asking for the moon in most situations. You need to pay attention to things like condition, competition, days on market still when you're devising an offer. It's something that I'll look at with you when we are going into the offer writing situation, and we can navigate that as it pertains to that particular home and that seller's needs. We can navigate that conversation. So if you're really ready to talk about your real estate goals moving on from May of 2025, I really want to connect and have a free consultation on the listing side or the buyer side. Happy to help you, and I'll see you in the next one.